Good morning. This morning we're going to be covering breaking the firefighting cycle, how to lead smarter, not work harder.
Well, that sounds good.
Right? Isn't that what we're all looking for? So
Absolutely.
today we're going to take a deep dive, and we even have a little self-evaluation here so that you can look at, your leadership and if you're actually stuck in a reaction cycle and how to move out of it. My name's Melissa Landry. I'm an executive coach and a management consultant, and I work with leaders, managers at different levels, as well as executives, and I'm helping them make that transition. I'm helping them change how they lead so that they're empowering their team. They're creating self-managed employees who are taking responsibility for the work so that they're getting their time back, they're getting their focus back, and they're able to work on the strategic work from a place of calmness and proactiveness, not from a place of reactiveness. And that feels a whole lot better. So talk about having more energy and being able to be that person you want to be that leader that you are. But being stuck in that reaction cycle and that firefighting mode is stealing from you. Joining me today is Kay. She's part of my team, and she's a big reason why we're here today. Kay.
Wow. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Kay. I'm the client solutions specialist at In Charge Coaching. My role is all about helping leaders unlock their full potential and creating workspaces where everyone can thrive. I also help bring these incredible learning experiences, such as this to life. And I get a front row seat to see Melissa's leadership in action. So I'm just really here to bring the employee perspective today.
Awesome. And I love the employee perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it is really important as we look at our roles as leaders that we think about, we take a 360 view of what are we doing and what is the impact of what we're doing on the employee. And at the end of the day, as leaders, we are responsible for working through people. So our impact is really important. Our decision making and our influence and working through people is part of our effectiveness. It's no longer about personal productivity, but how are we moving things through? So are you leading or just putting out fires? Well, if this sounds familiar to you, and it has been familiar to me in the past, waking up with a plan because you took time the night before to actually lay out what needs to be done. You're feeling prepared. You walk into work and things go sideways. Fire after fire. There's somebody at your door. They're needing your help, and you're needing to step in. And if you don't step in, something bad is going to happen. So you go through that all day long as your work gets pushed aside.
Yeah.
4 o'clock, you're thinking, I'm done. I've got no more brain power. I can't work on this strategic work anymore. And somebody else is at your door anyway. So might as well. Might as well. The day is gone. And you're leaving work with your work undone. And you're likely bringing it home with you. And if you're not, you're thinking about it. And if that resonates with you, you are not alone. The more we step into positions of authority and leadership, we gain more responsibilities. And our responsibilities are not solely what's on our desk, it's other people. And other people need our help. And we're good at helping. We're good at problem solving. That's why we're in the position that we're in. And yet, when we reach these new levels of authority, what got us there is no longer what is needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to make a shift. And we're going to talk about that shift today. So what's the problem with firefighting? Like if this hasn't, if you're not feeling this yet, what is the problem with firefighting? Good at problem solving, you're in this position. What's the problem? What are your thoughts here, Kate?
I think every employee has worked under a leader who is constantly in crisis mode. The type when you like walk into a meeting, and before you can even say something, they're already stressed with five different things on their mind. You ask a question and they are already like, I don't have time for this right now, so just do whatever makes sense, and suddenly you're not sure if you should move forward with something or just like wait for them to deal with whatever they're dealing with, and that stress is contagious. You also start feeling that, so it's exhausting. It's
Mm-hmm.
exhausting.
And then the more stress you're feeling, the more your brain is detecting problems
Yeah.
and threats and obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So the more that amplifies and you're continuing in this problem solving, firefighting, everything is a problem that needs to be solved. And sometimes you're just like, do whatever. And other times you might feel the need to take over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, there's so much. I'm just going to do it because it's faster. It's easier. I know what to do. And
Yeah.
we're robbing our employees from developing the skills to problem solve. So you're taking your strength and you're using that problem solving strength. But your role is no longer to solo problem solve. Your role is now to empower others to problem solve and guide them and develop the skills. And that's a hard thing to do because it feels good to be the hero. It feels good to be like, yeah, I crushed that.
Yeah.
I did that thing. And so the work that you're now doing is more, it goes unseen. It's the conversations behind a closed door, right?
Absolutely.
It's the strategic planning, the big picture stuff that nobody really sees.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're doing all of that and you start to feel this tension between managing the operations and the problems of the day, and you're also responsible for the strategic work and giving direction, and you have employees who are looking for that direction. They're saying things like, hey, I don't know what this is all for. I don't know what we're going. I don't know what's next. They're looking at you to provide that direction, to provide that vision and that guidance. And so you feel that tension between how do I do both?
Yeah.
There's always problems to be solved. How do I ever have time for this? And so that feeling divided starts to burn you out. Even just the stress of that tension is enough to burn you out. Even if you're leaving at 5 o'clock, even if,
Yeah.
And as you're, solving the problems of the day, you're not solving the problems of the future. You're not solving the problems of the big picture, which means your impact is really limited. It's limited to the problems of the day. And most leaders that I know step up and take on that responsibility because they have a desire to have a bigger impact. They have that potential. And so it's almost like you're robbing yourself of your potential, and you're robbing your team, and you're robbing the organization of that potential if you're stuck in the firefighting mode.
Mm-hmm.
So, the impact and the problem with firefighting is more than just, hey, I'm tired. Hey, this is too much. It really has a big ripple effect. What's coming up for you, Kay, as you're hearing this?
I feel like you're right. When a leader is always putting out fires, it creates a dependency, and then its team starts relying on them for every single thing, and that's frustrating for everyone in the picture. And but when leaders create or set clear expectations, like here's what I handle and here's what I expect from you, it empowers the team to step up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I love that word. I want to highlight dependency.
Mm.
So your behavior in jumping into firefighting mode is creating a dependency. So if you have this desire, this secret wish for people to just do it on their own, like can't they just think through this? Can't they just do it for themselves? I wish they would take the initiative. There's a reason that they're not taking the initiative, and the reason is not because they can't. Right? It is the dependency that we're creating through our behavior. And it's, we don't set out to like, oh, I'm going to firefight and I'm going to do all this stuff and I'm going to create a dependency. That's not, we actually care and we want to do right by people. And it's not always obvious how the way that we're showing up, thinking that, it's from a place of good intention and wanting to serve our team. We don't realize.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you're thinking, is this me? Am I stuck in this cycle of reaction? I have a few questions here that I'm going to run through, and I would just want you to consider, is this me? Does this make sense? And if you have a notepad around you, maybe just put a Y if it's yes and N if it's no, and then you'll be able to get a sense of, how much this is you or not you.
Mm.
So, question number 1. Do you spend more time reacting to problems than working on long-term goals? Yes or no? Do you spend more time reacting to problems than working on long-term goals? Question number 2. Is your calendar packed with meetings? There was a time when mine was very packed with meetings. Your strategic work
Yeah.
keeps getting pushed aside. So your calendar is packed with meetings, but your strategic work is getting pushed aside. So when you're done on your to-do list, it's still sitting there. Question number 3. Does your team regularly come to you for solutions to things they should be able to handle? Does your team regularly come to you for solutions to things that they should be able to handle? Got it? Number 4. Do you struggle to say no to tasks that aren't actually yours?
Rings a bell.
Recognize that one. All right. Number 5. Do you feel like you have to be available 24/7 or things will fall apart?
Such good questions.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you have to be available 24/7 or everything will fall apart? And then I'll re-ask that question differently. Do you feel like you can't go on vacation because something is bad is going to happen? Same question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Final question. Are you constantly exhausted at the end of the day, but still feel like you didn't get the important things done? Are you constantly exhausted at the end of the day, but still feel like you didn't get anything important done? Which means we were in the urgent, not important quadrant of the matrix. Mm-hmm. And so if you find yourself having more yeses than nos, that is a sign that we are in that reactive mode. And that is not serving you, and it's not serving your team, and it's not serving your company. So let's talk about the shift. How do we get out of firefighting mode? So I have 5 tips for you today. And I have an invitation to a very special masterclass on boundaries and balance, because boundaries is going to be a supportive factor here that's going to allow you to make that shift. So I will give you the details on the masterclass in just a little bit. But if you are looking to take a peek at it, Kay, could you drop the link so people can
Definitely.
register? All right. So
Mm-hmm.
the shift from firefighter to strategic leader. So the first thing is stop being the first line of defense. If the moment that there is something that, a problem occurs and you are the first door, the first line of defense, the first thing that the employee does come to you, you're not going to be able to get out of it. So what's really important here is to make sure that they have steps that they do before knocking on your door, that they're equipped. And they're not going to just know this. You're going to have to set up a system, a framework for them, so they know what happens. And at what point in time do they knock on your door? Second, define what's actually yours to handle. So when they do knock on your door and you listen to the problem at hand and where they're at this point, that you can clearly define your role in problem solving, your role in this situation. What are you going to do and what are you not going to do for them? For example, it might be very appropriate to listen and help them problem solve, or even pick up the phone and make a call to an executive or somebody else in the organization that needs to be brought into the conversation, that you have the authority to have that conversation. Maybe the employee doesn't. However, it may not be part of your role to actually action things, to make calculations, to create a spreadsheet, to action things. All right. So make sure you are clear on what is your role in problem solving. All right. Then we want to empower the team to put things into action. We do not want to enable them to continue giving us the ball of responsibility. Okay. If we pick up the ball of responsibility, and this kind of ties into my previous point, we say, I'll take responsibility for this, great. Then they're going to keep giving you the ball. What's really important is as they're coming in and they're putting that ball of responsibility on the table to talk about, Make sure that when they're leaving your office, they're actually carrying that ball of responsibility with them. Don't they can't leave the ball on the table. Don't take the ball in your hand. Make sure that they're picking that up and taking it with them. So that might mean supporting them, helping them build their confidence, helping them think through it, teaching them how you think through it, right? We want them to be building the problem solving skills, to be thinking the critical thinking skills, so that they can do what you would do even when you're not there. I recognize success when the employees start saying, what would my leader do? What would my manager do in this situation? And if they know what their manager would do, they can action that. Now things get done when you're not in the room. You can see how you start to get your time back, right?
Yeah.
You're multiplying your impact by teaching people how you think, how you problem solve, how you would go about it, and what you expect of them, and building their confidence so they feel that they can do it, making sure that you're delegating that responsibility, that power, that authority. I trust you to make that decision. I trust you to put that into action. Report back to me once it's done. Right? You might want to create that, that reporting factor so that you don't have rogue employees doing whatever. So you want to build in an accountability factor there. You want them to be able to take an initiative and take action. Prioritize like a CEO. And this, I'm going to touch back on what is your responsibility. Your responsibility is strategic. It is moving the needle on the bigger picture. So you can ask yourself, is this moving the needle? Is this just maintaining the status quo, or is this actually going to make a difference in the bigger picture? Is this going to move the needle? And anything that is operational and maintaining the status quo is what you want to be delegating. Obviously, building up the skills so that you can delegate. And you are going to prioritize the big picture and the strategic work. And then finally, create the space for real leadership. I talked to you earlier about employees are looking for the vision. They're looking for where we're going, what this all means. What's the next step? They're looking for guidance. You are that guide. That is real leadership. That is your role. And so you're going to want to create space in your calendar, make appointments for real leadership, and honor those time blocks as important commitments. How you think about and prioritize those commitments to real leadership is going to make a difference if you follow through or not. If you're going to allow things to get in the way, if you're going to allow distractions. What's standing out to you, Kay, as you're hearing this, and invitation for everyone watching right now? What's standing out to you? What's resonating?
Well, honestly, I feel like how much better work gets done when we are not in a constant reaction mode. It's like when leaders step back and let their teams take ownership, everyone benefits. So leaders are not trained, employees feel more capable, and the work actually gets done. So it's not just about less stress, it's better results too. And I think that's what leaders need, like setting those boundaries that makes
Mhm.
the whole team strong.
Absolutely. And as you're listening, you can hear that theme of boundaries. You know, we're going to be very clear on what's ours and not ours and who takes responsibility. And we're setting up lots of boundaries. And typically when we think of boundaries, we think of like, oh, I will leave at 5 or I will leave work at work. And these are beautiful things, but if, you know, between 9 and 5, it's chaos. Even if you leave at 5, you're you know, what's the quality of that evening, right? Are you really resting? Are you really at your best? So when we start talking about boundaries in leadership and at work, it's a little bit more intricate than that. It's a lot more than just leaving work at work or leaving at 5 or taking a break or really taking lunch. There's a lot more little things that we can set up to create this experience that you really want as a leader and to be the type of leader that people want to follow and they want to show up for and they want to take initiative for. So if this is resonating for you and you want more, I work with leaders every single day who are working on these things. And I've put together a 2-hour masterclass where I'm bringing those important pieces that I'm doing behind the scenes with leaders into a 2-hour experience so that you can look at yourself, look at your leadership style, look at what are the building blocks here that's going to secure your balance so that you can be the best leader that you are. You know, you are that person, and let's create the space for you to be at your best, and let's do that in 2025. Enough with the struggle, enough with the burning out, enough with the too much on my plate, not enough time, and let's create the experience where you can succeed and you can enable, you can empower your team to be at their best. And you can feel proud every day. So 2-hour masterclass, Boundaries and Balance. This is happening March 11th at 12 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Atlantic time for my Atlantic folks. And we're going to be having lots of fun. It's going to be interactive. We're going to be doing activities. And we're going to be looking at what are the boundaries that you're going to need to create this, how you're going to communicate those boundaries from a place of assertiveness, right?
Yeah.
And maintain your boundaries and respect your boundaries. Maintain your boundaries so that they're respected. And so what else do they need to know, Kate?
Well, I think you've covered it very well. So, yeah, just sign up, grab your lunch, and let's finally break the firefighting cycle for good.
Yeah. And so this is a completely free. This is an investment of time in yourself so that you can gain your time back. I'm looking forward to it. March 11th after March break. I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh, and how do they register? They register with the link that's
In the comments.
in the comments. All right. Bye.